Hey there, it's Binu again with a new video. Well, I just watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and I really wanted to make some content around it this week. So, we all know who Doctor Strange is from the Marvel Universe. He's our all powerful sorcerer who gets into a bit of trouble with the multiverse this time around. I had a really good time watching this movie, especially when a couple of really cool cameos popped up on screen. But don't worry, I will not be spoiling any of that for you today. So, I've always wanted to recreate a modern comic book movie in the style of an old school Marvel comic book because I really love the organic feel of old comic books. So, I thought of creating a motion poster for the movie mimicking the style of a retro Doctor Strange comic book. So, this would basically be kinda like a motion comic that you see for modern comic book trailers, such as these, where images from the comics are given some slight animation and breathing some life into these beautiful pages. So I started gathering references to draw inspiration from for this poster and to see what elements of those I can bring to this, mainly from old Doctor Strange comics. What I consistently saw from the comics were these elements on top indicating it was from the Marvel Comics group, the pricing, date and copyright stuff, and mainly this unique font that they've used for Doctor Strange comics from this time period. So I had to incorporate these elements into my final piece for sure to get this authentic comic book feel. So with that, I started to do some concept art of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange in my usual art style, which would combine the looks of the actors in the MCU and the looks from the comics together. I drew a couple of his faces to get a feel for the character, and then I started conceptualizing the actual composition of the comic book cover. I started that by bringing in an old comic book cover to trace out the font that read out the words Doctor Strange, since that is the most unique aspect of these comics. And I also added the same elements from the header to my artwork as well, and I'm drawing out the three characters of the movie Doctor Strange, Wanda, and the new America Chavez. And I'm also adding Wong to this top part on his own since there's always a small portrait of a character up here in the comics. So now I have a rough idea of what the comic cover could look like. And huge thanks to Sketchfab for sponsoring this video. Sketchfab is a super cool site with a huge library of 3D models and assets accessible for everyone. And not just that, it allows you to upload, buy and sell all kinds of 3D assets easily. So don't forget to check out Sketchfab for all your 3D model needs with our link down in the description. So before hopping onto Blender, I'm going into Krita to draw out these unique comic elements, as the brushes over here give me a bit more freedom when it comes to getting these elements drawn accurately. So I'm keeping the old comic as a reference image at the bottom and tracing over the letters that spell Doctor Strange in an ink pen, including the other signature elements as well. And I'm coloring all these elements including Wong inside of Krita too. I'm also painting a colored background that draws inspiration from the movie's posters here, as I have more accuracy in blending colors right here in Krita than in Blender. And I finally export all these elements separately as PNGs. Before we continue, if you guys are enjoying the content we make for you, be sure to like this video and subscribe to us for more cool content like this in the future. Now we can bring in all these elements to Blender as image planes, and I arrange them in order in the 3D space. So with the sketches I have of these characters, I ink all of them on separate grease pencil objects with the F ink pen brush. I'm leaving out some elements like hair to be animated on separate layers to give some more life to this poster. Now let's move on to the animated parts of these characters. To start with, I'm animating this small piece of hair that's sticking out from Strange's hair, as if it would occasionally blow over with a small gust of wind. And similar to before, I'm animating over these sketch frames with the ink pen so that it matches the style of the base layer. As for America, I'm making the back part of the hair slightly move around in the wind. I've left her back part of the hair uninked so that I can animate the movements on a separate layer and connect them together. As for Wanda, she will be creating a ball of pure energy with her hands, so her hair would be moving the most since all the power is coming from her. But we won't get to the energy orb just yet. Instead, we will make her hair animate frantically on a loop. Once the hair is inked, I add a time offset modifier with the range of frames her hair is on, so that the hair will consistently be looping throughout. Now I'm giving all my characters a base layer of paint according to their respective color schemes from the movie. And this is what it looks like so far. Now to give these characters more depth and to bring out more details, I'm giving each of them a shadow layer by creating a mask layer set to multiply with a lower opacity. As you can see, this is really defining these characters' details and giving them much more depth than they had before. So if you watch the movie or even the show What If, you've seen that when an incursion happens, the world slowly starts to get destroyed and all the things in the world start to sort of melt off into this black liquidy sort of material. So as this was shown in the movie, I would like to incorporate a bit of that into the background of this cover to make it more interesting. So I'm drawing out these squiggly lines and circles in black in the background all around these characters. And I also want them to be moving around, so rather than having to draw this frame by frame, I can add a noise modifier to this grease pencil object and decrease the position value and increase the thickness value like so. So now these squiggles will be moving around on their own in a loop. And now I'm gonna create Doctor Strange's mandala shield thingies. To start with, I'm giving this grease pencil object a glow effect and decreasing the threshold and increasing the samples to around 20 to make the glow look smooth. I'm drawing this by using the circle tool and drawing the multiple circles and shapes which this consists of. This was my favorite part and the most tedious part as well, since I had to hand draw all these tiny details and symbols individually. But it was definitely worth the effort. I'm also adding a noise modifier like before to add some randomized movements to this. And for the second mandala on his right hand, I'm making a copy of the previous one and changing the shape in object mode to fit the correct perspective. And this is what it looks like now. Another element that's mostly used in this movie is broken glass and glass shards. I'm gonna have some broken glass shards as well floating right in front of our heroes. So I'm sketching out 3 separate grease pencil objects with glass shards with 3 different depths on the 3D space. This will give a really nice sense of 3D and depth on this scene. So similar to before, I'm inking and coloring the shards, and I'm also lowering the opacity of them so that we can see through them nicely. After I'm happy with the placing of these shards, I'm going into the edit mode and using the rotate tool to position each of these shards to be pointed directly at our characters. This will now really enhance the feel of this being in a cool 3D space. Now I'm coming back to Wanda again to animate her ball of energy. I'm using a glow effect on this grease pencil object as well, and I just draw some round shaped lines with white, pink and red. And now I'm gonna let the noise modifier work its magic once again. Once I add this, the ball of energy will start to rotate and move on its own as if it was alive. And that is completed super easily. Now this is what the end product is gonna look like in a 3D space. See how much cooler having these parts in separate points in the 3D space makes it. This is the true power of grease pencil. And finally, I'm giving this a slow camera zoom out to show everything off nicely. To finish things off, I'm taking the final render onto After Effects. Since I want this to be a comic book cover, we cannot forget the paper texture. So I'm putting this texture above my rendered video and setting the blend mode to multiply. And I'm also adding a bit of noise with the noise effect and topping it all off with some color correction with the Lumetri color effect. And there we have it guys, all done. So I hope you guys enjoyed following me along as I created this poster. So do try this out and show us your own comic book posters on our Discord and let us know what you thought about today's video in the comments below. Big shout out to our awesome patrons on Patreon for supporting us. So if you want us to keep making more cool videos for you guys, you can go support us over there.
And we've got a Discord as well where you can hang out with us and other creatives and share all your awesome work with us. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what you thought about today's video. And have a great day, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.